Yo, yo, yo. This is another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. Today, we do not have tactics. You are here with just Darcy, and
Big E Kumar, how are y'all doing today? Or how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's been a long week, and I'm just happy to be here, to be getting into the weekend, being able to chat with my bro, not unfortunately not
100%.
bros, but bro.
100%. Yeah. We miss you tactics, but we show must go on, and also at the same time we are learning how to do this without him as he is our producer. And
Yeah.
by we I mean Darcy.
Yeah. I had to prepare. I had to prepare. Hopefully, it's a smooth show as usual. But if it's not, you can totally blame me.
I will blame myself for not being able to do more.
uh, okay. So harsh. So harsh. All right, man. What are we going to talk about today?
Tactics.
There.
Miss y'all too.
What? There it is, man. Well, hope you're having a good time doing what you're doing with your school, bro.
Yeah. Kick ass, brother. All right. So we are we got Tactix giving us the usual kind of support, saying that this show is going to crash and burn. And thank you for the confidence.
Yep.
We knew you would believe in us.
Yep.
We feel your support.
It was smooth up until that comment came through. Oh man! So what are we talking about besides the fact that we suck?
Yeah. So we are going to be discussing several, and even with us choosing the geeky news for this week, just more kept coming in as we were preparing. But look, we had to do a cutoff. So next week clearly is going to be some additional leftovers, but hopefully with tactics this time. So our first bit of geeky news is some casting decisions for the second part of the Dune film. Now, as you all know, we saw Dune earlier this year, and I guess it works in our favor that Tactics is not here because he was definitely a poo-pooer for that film. We got some interesting casting for two roles that have yet to be shown. Now, Darcy, I know you have not read the book or watched the series in any way prior to this film, right?
What are you expecting of me, man?
I'm just asking. It's not actually, not everyone knows this. Like, this was like ancient sci-fi. Like, this is a progenitor to Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is like copied them.
Yeah, I've been watching VFX videos about the original VFX and the original, and then people remaking it now. But that's as much as I really know about the original movie.
Like the 1984 movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like how they have like the boxes that surround them as they move. Yeah, there's actually a really good video by the Corridor Crew I could send you that it's fun because like they have like 3 or 4 different guys like making it in different ways. Like one, they have to do it like the old school way. Another one's like, I'll just do all the new tech and just do it in the easy way. And it's just like fun. And then it's funny because it looks hilarious when they do it.
Okay. So casting news is so on the right we have Florence Pugh.
Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Oh, okay, Florence Pugh. I'm a big fan of her. We're all actually all of us are a big fan of Florence Pugh. She killing it as Yelena. We love Yelena. Just give us a TV series of her, and
Yeah.
also Kate Bishop. Just like we just want those two to like,
those two, like that one fight scene and every interaction and dialogue that they had, yeah, that they would be an amazing like buddy cop kind of vibe, just whatever the story is, but just like the two of them going on a journey together. And
yeah, like honestly, the scene that they had at her place when they're eating macaroni and cheese was like, I hope that gets studied in like at school. But anyway, Florence Pugh has been cast in a relatively small but actually important role. So basically, no, and I'm going to avoid spoilers as best as I can here because like Darcy, you haven't seen it, and our audience members, I don't want to ruin the next movie for you. But she's been casted as Princess Urulan who is the Emperor's daughter. So she has in the original novel, she had a small role. It grew further in the subsequent sequel novels in Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. Thank you, Maybot. Irulan.
There you go, getting those
Yeah.
pronunciations down.
Yeah, I used to be able to pronounce it, but it's been a while. And so Florence Pugh has been cast in the role for that, and I gotta say, I like it. It's a good choice. And as Maybot says, sexy. We all love Florence Pugh, and I think she can pull this role off. I'm kind of hoping they do an equally good job with her father's casting, the Emperor, because he's like, we felt his presence in the first movie. The next part, we need an actor because there's a lot coming forward from that one. So anyway, I know you don't know anything about this character, Darcy, but like, let's just say that I believe this is a good choice.
I'm trying to remember. You said that we felt the presence of the Emperor, and I'm like, who again? Again, the problem with Dune, like everything visually is awesome. Like everything about like what they're trying to build, it's just it feels like there's so much happening so fast in what they try to shove in that first film that I'm like, I can't remember anybody. The scene that the part of the film that was the most clear for somebody who doesn't have all of the history was everything after the sandworm and like basically what we're seeing of our boy Timothy here on the left, where like he's like fighting at the end to have that to get accepted into that tribe, whatever. That's all I really remember at this point. And then vegetables. That's all I remember, bro. They put too much in. The story was just like rushed by me.
So you're telling me you remember the last 20 minutes of the film only?
It's the part I remember the most because it was the part that was like the most clear paced story of the whole thing. I remember overall core pieces to the rest of the story, but it ain't my fault that they tried to basically make two films in one. Like they could have broken that up into two films and flushed everything out more for all the stuff. They're like, and we're here, and then we're there, and then we're over here too. And then this guy's spitting on the ground, and that's a sign of respect.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You think that you felt that this film should have been split up into two?
What I think is the pacing was a problem, and so I feel like there was too much trying to be said. Either things had to be completely cut out, or this had to be drawn out longer and focused on the first film, establishing a lot of things and building up to some point in this film where it would have stopped earlier. Whatever makes the most sense, because I can't know the whole lore, and I can't know, can you cut this whole part of the conversation, or do you need this to set up for the future? And if you need a lot of the things that they were trying to hit at, I'm assuming everything that they tried to talk about is important enough. So then it means you need more time for each one of those things for me to get it. And that means you can't have the whole entirety of this film in one film. That's just how I look at it.
Okay. Let's
I got an agreement right here from Maybot. I'm just saying.
Maybot is saying, I do agree it should have been split into two, the first act being the demise and betrayal of the Atreides. I will not disagree, actually.
Yeah.
No. Like, take your laurels. I would have preferred this. Like, it's difficult because I originally saw, before I read the book, I watched this on the sci-fi miniseries, and that was done into 3 parts. So I would agree that if they had made this a trilogy, like, now some people would be like, "You're making one book into a trilogy of films." I'm like, well, clearly you didn't read that book because there's a lot going on in there. But the problem is, if you had done the first film ending with the betrayal of like the Atreides, that's a lot of you just like the first movie no one would have gone to because like it's just like a lot of talking. And it reminds me a little bit of what people said about the first season of Game of Thrones. They're like, man, nothing really happened until, spoiler alert, Ned Stark dies. And then everyone's like, oh, well, now I want to go back and rewatch the whole thing. And it's like, okay. But like that's going to be what this was. Everyone would have been like, oh, Oscar Isaacs, I love you. No. Again, spoiler alert. So I feel that one film for where they ended off was decent, but I can also understand from people who don't know the series before that it's a lot to take in. Nonetheless, I would say the only problem I had with this film was the fact that they spent way too much on slow motion, like dreams from Paul, when you could have done it a little bit faster and gotten a lot more exposition that was needed. Nonetheless, so going back to the original point, the reason why I said the Emperor was felt is because he was the one working with the Harkonnen to destroy the Atreides, and it was him who gave
Oh,
more troops to the Harkonnen in order to secure their victory.
got you. Yeah. See, this is not all resonating memories for me very
That
strongly.
just means we got to watch it again, man.
Yeah. You know, the thing though I will say is that like that whole betrayal of the Atreides, like I don't want to say like you have to add stuff, but I feel like if you made the whole film a really strong character of like showing one or two characters so that they kill that character off and then it hurts you and then you're like, oh, and then it's like, oh, wait for the next film. You're like, no, could be smart. It could be very smart. The best cliffhanger ever. But anyways, I digress.
Maybach got a nice comment in that she says, I understand why they did it. I live and breathe Dune. It's my sci-fi paramour, but I could tell right away that the audience who was coming in blind would be a bit overwhelmed.
Thank you.
Well, no, like Dune is a dense book, and it also isn't straightforward. There are a lot of levels to it. So yeah, I would say that anyway, getting back to the main topic, Princess Irulan is going to be played by Florence Pugh. I think it's a great choice. Also, the age between, like, this picture alone, like, they just look like straight up ready to, like, well, then again, he looks like he's going to die because he brought a knife to a gunfight. But still, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. Another piece of casting news is the casting of Mr. I'm trying to remember his name right now. Austin Butler? I'm not sure.
I feel like that's right. I feel like that's what you made me Google. Yeah, Austin
Yes.
Butler, you're right.
Austin Butler. Hey, my memory's still intact. But yeah, so Austin Butler has been cast as the role of Feyd. Well, it depends on how you pronounce it. Feyd, but like I've known him as Feyd Harkonnen. He is the brother of Raban, who's played by Dave Bautista, and Sting played his character in the original movie.
Was that good or bad?
Oh no, it was terrible. It was a terrible film.
I thought I remember when they were like referencing it in the VFX video that it was like they said Sting, and I'm like, I feel like they said it was bad.
Oh, it was bad. Like I love Sting. I love his music, but like, and hey, he could be a good actor for all I know. But when it came to Feyd, well, he wasn't the only problem with the film. So let's just say that
should have faded out. I was waiting for that.
So yeah, so with Feyd, he is a cold-blooded, psychopathic, charming, pretty boy killer. Like, he is
that is a mean combination. I like it already.
Oh, he is, like, basically he is the prime choice of the Baron Harkonnen's heir, but Dave Bautista, who plays Raban, or Raban as in the movie did it, Raban is the older one. So they call him the Beast Raban is because he is just a killing machine. He is a merciless killing machine who doesn't have an intelligent bone in his body, while Feyd, on the other hand, is politically savvy. And is being groomed by his uncle.
Gotcha. So he's everything Joffrey wishes he could be.
Yes. And Raban is just a more brutish version of Joffrey.
I wish that all three of them get into a room and Joffrey would die first. That's how much I like it. And till this day, Joffrey is the worst. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to find somebody that I hate more than Joffrey.
I'm sad to say it, but like that kid, well, he's probably not a kid anymore, but like he has defined villainy for a generation.
Oh man. Oh man. It's just like, man, I remember when that show was airing and everyone was just like every week wishing for him to die. And then when he died, it was a celebration for everybody but his mother on the show.
Well,
Like,
I was so I remember I was like watching with my boy Jimmy, and like Jimmy was not. It took him until like the ninth episode of the first season to get into Game of Thrones, but before that, he was just, like every time Joffrey would show up, he was just like, ugh, like that was his real like guttural emotional like reaction. And now when we go back and watch it every now and again, whenever Joffrey shows up, he's like, oh, this asshole. And,
yeah, it's legit.
yeah. So I think that Austin Butler is a good choice for Fade. I haven't seen him act before, but I'm basing this strictly on the performance I saw of him in the trailer for the upcoming uh uh oh my god,
Elvis Presley?
Elvis movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not what I'm gonna have any interest in seeing. I like
I'm
music
a
films.
little
I'm not gonna watch that one.
I'm a little interested because I mean it's Baz Luhrmann.
You know what make me interested? And I haven't seen the trailer, but does the trailer also depict how much they stole music from black people? Because until they started showing that, I'm not really interested to go watch that movie. I ain't supporting that.
Well, actually, the trailer did see him like starting out in like a black tent, listening to their music, and then kind of like
Yeah,
performing.
yeah, but I mean, like the fact that there was an art, like a lot of his hit songs were
Mhm.
another person's song that they would pay them a menial amount, but to basically steal it and then go use it.
I wouldn't know. I doubt that they'll go that far, but it does
Then
look like there's going to be some levels of that.
then I'm out. Because you're gonna try to tell a positive story to keep pushing that same agenda, forgetting the fact that like you stole the music. I
I'm
ain't
not like
interested.
again, like I'm only interested because it's Baz Luhrmann and not for no other reason. If the reviews are bad, I'm not going to bother watching it.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, like the best um adaption for like a biopic of a musician for me right now is the one on Queen with what's his
Oh
name?
yeah, with Rami Malek.
Because like the shot for shots that people have shown of Ravi Malek against the original like real person, I forget his name right now. But like them side by side and his performance and his singing is like it's so on point that I'm just like, yeah, that's why I went to go see it. Overall, the rest of it's all right, storytelling. These biopics always suffer from the same problem. You only ever want to tell it about somebody who had like a 20-year journey, and then you want to condense that into 2 hours. It always feels rushed. Like you always feel like you're skipping something.
So
Um,
the movie we're talking about is Bohemian Rhapsody,
yes,
and Remy Malik was portraying Queen's Freddie Mercury,
yes.
the lead singer,
There you
Freddie
go.
Mercury.
Thank you for filling all those gaps in for me. Yeah. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah. No, I liked Bohemian Rhapsody as well. I love Remy Malik. I've seen the first two seasons of Mr. Robot, and like I'm a big fan of his acting, and he did a great job as Freddie Mercury. Uh, I with biopics, I just tended to kind of like the one thing about Bohemian Rhapsody, I will say that I found interesting. We will eventually come back to Dune. Is that I found it interesting how many songs I knew. I thought I had, like knew like one or two songs from Queen, but then like when I was watching the movie, I'm like, I know every one of these songs.
That's how
So
big
like,
they are. That's how big they are.
yeah. But yeah, for Dune 2, so far it looks like they're doing some good casting choices for the second film. I think the only ones left to cast are the Emperor, I think Mother Ramallo.
I don't know.
sorry.
You're like really putting work in. I'm like, I can't help you, man. I'm still trying to figure out what happened in the first film.
I'm okay. So what I want to do is we're gonna rewatch together, and I'll do like what I used to do for like my Lord of the Rings marathons, and I'll pause and be like, fun fact.
Okay, better be good ass food there.
I'll bring butter chicken.
Okay, and I'm gonna bring some other stuff. I don't know what.
Wait, yet. No, you'll fall asleep if I do that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I just want a lot of food, bro. I just want a day with a lot of food.
Okay, I'll bring sandwiches.
Potluck, bro. We just do potluck. You bring something, I bring something. Call it a day. You know, that way we got choices.
Well, all right. On that note, moving on. Our next topic of discussion is one that I find hysterical, and also because I don't give a shit about the movie. But it was recently released this week that the Fast and Furious 10 movie has run a...
I didn't mean to put myself front and center. This is where I can't figure out how to do stuff. There it is.
So, the Fast and Furious 10 film has run a bit of a snag in that the director has quit one weekend.
Yeah.
I
would have quit 1 week after Fast 9, but whatever.
So, Justin Lin has apparently left the I think like 10 days into filming, and there's no reason why, but I feel we may know the reason why.
I have one guess.
So this is taken from a video off of, I think, what's his name? Vin Diesel's Instagram or YouTube or something. He took a video or TikTok or I don't know. It was off of his social media. And apparently he was attempting to garner interest from Mr. Lin on the right in how happy the production is going. How happily the production is proceeding. A few days later, Justin Lin quits. And this expression on his face, and also if you actually watch the video, most of his expressions when he thinks Vin Diesel isn't really paying attention to him, looked like a man who is being held at gunpoint to agree with Vin Diesel. So that is all I know and all I care to know about the situation. But Darcy, I'm interested to see what you have to say about this topic.
I mean, I have to agree with everything you say. I don't have a whole lot to add other than, you watch that video and you're just like, it's like Vin Diesel's saying to the effect of like, oh, how good is it going? Tell us about, how amazing it is, whatever. And he's just like, yeah, it's going so good. Yeah, doing great. It's like, no, bro, this just feels bad. This just feels like the bad testimonial that people are being paid to do when they're completely lying for it. I'm just not surprised. And like every problem we've heard of Fast and the Furious, ever since The Rock had a problem, there's just been problems ever since then, and they've all centered around one person. So I'm just saying,
Well, for our audience who don't know, Darcy, what are the problems that that The Rock and others have been saying?
Vin Diesel. just if it quacks like a dog, walks like a duck, is probably shit. I put two different things together. But
I know.
Yeah, no, it's I just won't be surprised if it's something to do with Vin Diesel's ego again and some kind of problem. And, I'd just be surprised. But I have, I want a third opinion on this. So I thought I'd throw it over to somebody, see what they have to say.
Hey, our boy is back.
What up?
Couldn't go a whole week without us.
Well, I saw how bad you guys are doing, and I figured, I got to jump in and save this fucking show.
Yo, you saw
No,
me messing up those slide transitions?
Nah, man, you guys are holding it down, man. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah,
Proud of you guys, man.
but why do you think Justin Lin has decided to quit?
Well, to answer your question, Darcy, throw up that photo once again,
Absolutely.
please.
And I can't do a transition again. There we go.
So you clearly can't see it in the photo, but this looks like a man who's being held at gunpoint and being forced to say whatever it was that he said in this video. He clearly doesn't want to be here. Vin looks happy as shit. Meanwhile, director over here is not having it. So yeah, based off of what we've been hearing from Vin's inflated ego over the past couple of years, obviously he had that issue with The Rock, and that caused The Rock to step down from doing any more of these movies. It seems as though ego's kind of taken over. And yeah, Vin is pretty much, I feel like he's trying to fuck up this franchise. And it's unfortunate because it puts a sour taste to the franchise as a whole. It is somewhat I wouldn't go as far as saying disrespectful, but it's very disappointing considering, you know, the legacy that him and Paul Walker built with this franchise. And they had such good momentum, and then obviously a good run, sure. And then unfortunately, due to Paul Walker's passing, you know, I felt like it was good for them to end it on Fast 7. I feel like that would have been a solid ending. Yep. And then they just kept going, and you know, Fast 8 was okay, and then Fast 9, we just don't talk about Fast 9.
Like,
I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Yeah. I mean, they went to space. Okay, they went to space, like with cars.
He's not even joking. Like, they legit did that shit.
I know. And like the Fast 10 is probably them going back in time with cars. Like they're going to build their own DeLorean.
Oh, yep. Lord.
Dinosaurs and everything.
Yeah. Just well, I mean, it potentially is connected to Jurassic Park somehow. So like people have been talking about that. Like, I'm like, this like the franchise crossover that nobody ever wanted and thought made any sense. Let's do that one.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's do that. At this point feels like it would take down Jurassic Park's good name at this point. Like, cause like you suspend your belief a lot when you're talking about dinosaurs existing in our real world, but there's a plausible science that you feel like is legit. But why Dom Toretto needs to be there, unless he's going to get eaten, I don't understand. So,
yeah, I don't know. I'm losing all hope in this franchise, unfortunately, because of Vin's supposed actions on an offset. So he seems like a nice guy. I think the ego is just kind of getting to him a little bit, and like the dude thinks he's a superhero, and I think he forgets that he's what movie he's in.
Yeah.
He's not doing like Sophie's Choice here.
Yeah. So. Forever, the franchise ended at 7. That's all we gotta say.
Yeah.
That's why it's just. I will say that I find it astounding that Tyrese is not the reason this movie is like going to shits.
Nah, he might be in shambles at home, but he can hold himself together on set. It might be the other way around for him.
All right. Well, moving on to our next topic. It is having to do with a rather disappointing, but unfortunately consistent, and I do mean unfortunately consistent, trend. The latest Doctor Strange film, which hasn't been released yet, it will be released this coming week, as in next week, and we got our tickets for next Saturday. Ooh, that's cool, man. I like that.
Trying things.
And unfortunately, many parts of not many parts. Some parts of the world are reacting to the fact that we have a character in the far back right, who's called America Chavez. America Chavez is a comic book character who is gay, and as a result of her presence in the film and being unapologetically gay, or having a scene that like a very integral scene that depicts her coming out, the film has been banned in Egypt and in Saudi Arabia and a few other, and I think also in China, but I'm not 100% sure about that one. But nonetheless, parts of the world, big audiences are banning this film, like they've done other films that have had similar situations. And Disney, to their very minor credit, but still credit, that they are not removing the scene. So personally, I find this bullshit. But I wanted to know what you bros thought. Not that I would actually be very surprised if you guys thought that it was, acceptable. But nonetheless, what do you guys think?
So Umar, you're telling us that you think it's bullshit they didn't remove the 12-second scene?
No, I'm saying it's bullshit that they banned the film.
I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It doesn't make any sense, but for some people apparently it does make sense to do that.
Oh, yeah. So the other countries are Saudi Arabia, which I mentioned, Kuwait, and Qatar. So yeah, it's yeah. How about you, T? What do you feel?
I'm not surprised. I know certain countries have, certain stipulations when it comes to the progressive nature that the rest of the world has kind of endured and has embraced. I think some parts of the world haven't quite caught up to that notion yet, and they're still set in a very old way of thinking. And it's unfortunate because then they miss out on potentially great movies, which I'm sure this is going to be a phenomenal film, right? And for them to change the rating is one thing, but then for them to just completely ban it on this account is ridiculous to me. So did they do that with the with Eternals as well? Because I remember there was a scene with dude from Atlanta. He played a gay character.
I think they did actually.
Like cut a scene?
Yeah. Eternals was pulled from theaters.
Oh, they're pulling it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, props to Disney for sticking to their guns and not cutting the scene. But yeah, again, I'm not surprised. I think it's going to be a while before we see any kind of change in that regard. But
I was asked by a friend who he asked me and another our friend Shiba, who also is like me, like Pakistani and Muslim. He was asking us like for Pakistan or Asia, how long do we think that it's going to be until any kind of like progressive movements will be made, allowing for films like this to just and it's sad to say that it's a 12-second scene that is the thing that's causing all this trouble. And one would even argue that 12 seconds is a little too little of character development. It sounds like 12 seconds is just long enough for them to say, hey, I'm gay. Really? Yes. Cool. Carry on. So you'd kind of want that there was a little bit more fleshing out of that, kind of like what they did in Eternals, where it was a very clear relationship, a loving relationship that was also very healthy for a child. But nonetheless, it's difficult to even really have hope for the change that you were talking about, Tactix, eventually that they would be able to catch up with the rest of the world. Now, granted, the rest of the world still has a long way to go when it comes to the LGBTQ community, but we like we said, representation matters, and these are baby steps, and we're still having trouble with them over there. We're also having trouble here as well, but at least they're not being banned.
Yeah, it's also very unfair to be like, I create a piece of art and I'm going to take it around the world, and yes, you don't have to buy it, and I don't have to sell it to you, but then to say hey, we want your thing, but we want you to change it for us is no, that's not a legit request here. So yeah,
and it was a request that people were in the past were doing, but again, I guess Disney has the chops to say no. But I will say there has been an additional part to this story, which is even more disheartening. The actress who plays America Chavez, who is herself 15 years old, I'm going to try to pronounce her name. It's Jotil Gomez, has unfortunately been receiving an healthy amount of online threats on social media because of her depiction of America Chavez being gay.
Mm.
Again, to coin Tactix's phrase, this is not surprising, but sad.
And it's not even her fault. Why is she getting the not to say that anyone is at fault, but I mean, why is she taking the backlash, right?
Like, yeah, like she's representing I personally don't know if she is part of the LGBTQ community or not, but that shouldn't matter because she's performing a role, she's doing a job. So why is she getting death threats?
Well, so this is somewhat unrelated, but kind of connected, I suppose. There's a movie coming out called Bros, and it's actually apparently it's the first major studio film to feature an all LGBTQ principal cast, and I think they're the cast or the actors in the role are actually playing. They're trying to depict heterosexual males, but it's an all gay cast basically. And considering that this is like the first of its kind, like when I heard that, I was like, is this like the first like all gay cast movie that we've had? I found that surprising, but it just kind of goes to show the progress that's being made. I don't know if that's actually, I'm not saying that that's going to actually change anything, but I think if you look back, if you backtrack like maybe 30, 40 years ago, like movies like this were like non-existent, and now I feel like there's a little bit more leniency being put in place regarding a lot of these movies, which is great to see because we're starting to see a lot more representation from different,
Bros? It's called Bros?
Bros, yeah. 2022 is when it comes out, so this year.
So this
interesting.
Year. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Darcy?
No, I'm just intrigued by the fact that it's an all gay cast depicting heterosexual. I'm like, likely it's just, I mean, if they're doing things properly, it's just these are the best people for acting for this particular role, right? But they are also talking about the other aspect of it, so it's interesting. Like I also wonder if it's like purposeful for a particular reason, that we'll see more when the movie comes out if it's interesting and catches our attention.
Well, I think because like the standard norm back then, if you were going to depict a gay character, it would often be played by a straight male or a straight person, right? So it left little opportunity for actors who are gay to get these roles, which didn't make sense because it's like, well, why? Like, yeah. I already fit the bill for that. Why not just cast me, right? But it seems like there's like, this separation where they're not giving enough opportunities. But now with this being the first of its kind, it opens up the gateways for more actors and actresses that are part of this community to have a chance at acting.
I will say that it was interesting. This was like a silly article that a friend of mine passed to me, where it was basically saying why are all the great male leads? What was it like? Why are all the great male leads today all gay? And it was basically where gay males were actually depicting heterosexual male leads, and everyone was just like, well, you're making us love these guys, but it turns out in real life they're gay. I'm like, well, yeah, because you were definitely going to hook up with them otherwise. But like, I remember they were talking about like Zachary Quinto and
the other guy, he Prison Break guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Wentworth Miller, I think.
Yes.
That is a name.
Yeah.
Wentworth.
Yeah. So like having like those actors ultimately turned out to be gay was kind of like, well, why are you doing this to us? And I'm just like, why is that where your head went? Like, I'm like, for me, I was actually I was glad it's like, wow, There's a lot. They're actually getting behind the screen, and they're not now. Unfortunately, they're being forced to play like straight characters as opposed to showing themselves to be gay and the non-stereotypical one. Because like as much as Will and Grace and a few other films and shows made it seem okay to have gay characters around, it had to fit the mold or had to fit a certain kind of like humorous depiction. Any other kind was like, whoa. But I do find it interesting that an entire an all gay cast are actually choosing to make or portraying themselves as heterosexual. I'm wondering if it's meant to be for them to show. I don't know. Like I don't know anything about this film other than what you just described to me, but I find this to be interesting.
Yeah, like my feeling around this is that I like obviously anybody can play any sexual orientation fine. So there's no issue there. My only worry would be like, I hope that they're not trying to force something and then they don't end up with the right actors in that situation to get a particular narrative off screen. But yeah, like as long as it turns out to be a good film, then great. And that's it.
Yeah. And like, to be honest, I like the comics, going back to the original topic, like the comics are trying to provide more LGBTQ representation, so that people like, it is very clear that the LGBTQ community is a substantial one so much so that politicians are now trying to gain their vote. Yes, they're a minority group, but at the same time, they're a group that has some sway. So it makes sense from a business perspective. Let's stop pandering to the so-called religious groups or like family-oriented groups, like saying that these are bad influences on our children or crap like that. Instead, let's actually show some proper representation in the superheroes. And we like on film or on TV, we haven't gotten a lot of superhero LGBTQ representation, and it's turning out that because even Eternals, Phastos was gay, but like he was one of like the smaller characters that we didn't really see. Now I'm glad they showed it. I'm glad they didn't shy away from it, but no, actually, that's not true. He did kick ass at the end when he took on Icarus. Sorry, spoiler warning if you haven't seen Eternals. Yeah, I'm glad Disney isn't shying away, but I guess you could say I'm worried because if, like right now, audiences are returning to the movie theaters, and so therefore, all the studios want to know, are people going to go back to the theaters and give them the money? And if representation is suddenly causing massive gaps in audiences, I'm worried that this is going to be something that would cause us to regress as opposed to continue to progress. That's just my only thought. Oh, I also like what Maybot said. I think that the world forgets how monoethnic the world still is and how that affects narrow-minded thinking. We're privileged to live where we are. Yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying.
Monoethnic. There's a
I
word
like
I'm
that
gonna
word.
Google.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I like that. I was just supposed to say it. I'm like, yo, I've never heard that word before. Nice.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Maybot, again. All right, moving on. Our next topic is one that I will admit I know very little about. It is in regards to the Halo TV series. Now, I have never played the game, and I have not watched the TV series. However, I have on occasion watched YouTube videos of Halo screenplay. Is it called screenplay or gameplay?
Gameplay. I'm like, no.
So I don't have much to add to this. So I'm going to let the leader of this topic take over from here. Darcy?
Yeah, so I just want to kind of highlight this. So this show is interesting for me because it has some major flaws, and yet every week I'm like excited to watch it. And even I agree with the flaws, and that's what's intriguing me. So, so far, I want to say it's competing for me with like Sonic the Hedgehog as best video game to screen adaptation that there is.
Interesting.
Now, that is admittedly with a super low bar that like everything is shit when they adapt from a video game into the screen. But let's highlight some things that are awesome. First off, look at them suits. Them suits is badass. They match and they are all practical. That's not CGI. That is literally these guys wearing the suits, okay? And every actor who's playing these are monster people. Like they're all like 6'7", 6'8", 9" kind of people. Because when you see them in scenes, especially the main actor standing against a normal person, like he sat down in a recent episode on a chair, facing off against somebody else, and it looked like a child was sitting with him, and it's a full-grown adult. But there's a problem with this, and so a lot of people have some complaints, right? And basically they're saying like the showrunner has done a great job of absolutely destroying the canon of this. And the thing that like people are arguing about is essentially
I heard about that too. Like I've had people like message me and be like, "Are you watching this shit?" I'm like, "Guys, I."
So they're not directly adapting like the games, and each game's had like a slightly different variation on the story from what I understand. I don't know the story like all that much depth, but they're basically saying it's like a separate universe to that of the other like games. Like it's basically writing their own story. And the big problem they have is the same problem of the Mandalorian, which is that his helmet comes off. Yeah, I love him.
Wait, that's Master Chief?
That's Master Chief. So the big
they took off their helmet again?
He took off his helmet in the first episode, and every episode since then, it's been off. Most in the most recent.
Are the like honestly, actors need to. Sorry to interrupt. Actors need to stop fighting the helmet rule. Like, if you're going to do a character that puts on a helmet for the entire time, shut up and wear the helmet.
Carl Urban.
Okay, minus him.
Yeah. However, and now I haven't looked into it, but I don't think it's the actor. I think it's the story that they're writing. And I think it's a flaw in the story that they're writing. They need more time with the helmet on, is what I'm saying. I don't actually have how to put this. I have a problem, and I don't have a problem with the helmet off. So in the most recent episode, I actually liked it with the helmet off, because the most recent episode he didn't even have the suit on. Like there's like an under part of the suit, and what he was doing in the episode, it worked for me. And there's human elements. There's like a scene, and I don't want to spoil too much for people, but there's basically like a main prominent character, and he basically into a room and basically putting them to die, but only to test something, and he was never planning to kill them, but he freaks them out to the last second. And I actually enjoyed the scene, and I maybe would have had a slightly better impact without the helmet on, which takes away the human element, but I actually liked that scene as it was with the helmet off. However, there's plenty of times where I'm like, yo, why is this helmet back off again? Put the helmet, leave it on, because there's an imposing figure and a thing about the character that, it's like Spider-Man, right? Like people, when they look at Master Chief, the fact that you never got to see his face allowed you to put yourself in and imagine yourself being the Master Chief, like imagine yourself being Spider-Man. But yeah, it's a touch of a problem. However, the one thing this show does really well, though, is battles. Like, look at this character he's facing off against.
Is that a suit or is that an alien?
Oh, it's a whole alien wearing a suit. Master Chief is like with his suit on, is like 7 feet tall. This dude is like 9, and like one hit and almost kills him. Like, it's how powerful he is. And of course the Spartans have like shields built into their suits, like an invisible shield, kind of like from Dune concept. And one hit and the shield was like, like it was clocking out for the day. But yeah, the battles in this are fantastic and they're gory. Like people get their legs ripped like off. Like it's surprising. But the helmet being off is kind of the problem. However, right now I'm still gonna say it's probably the best video game adaptation I've seen, even though it's flawed. And I'm kind of starting to be like really intrigued as to where the story is going. And I kind of feel like this whole helmet off thing is a big part of the growth to him becoming what we all want. So I don't know. I'm kind of saying like, if this season turns out the way I'm kind of hoping it turns out, I might have to get the two of you guys to watch the show. But
Okay.
there is some BS in the show. There's a whole other character, I forget her name, and she's in the first episode, and it's like, oh, it's a great story in the first episode. It's a really good setup. And then she's still in it for multiple episodes afterwards, and we're like, everyone's like, I don't give a crap about the storyline. And it's like, please just cut the storyline. Like nobody needs the storyline. And I agree. I do not care about this character. So yeah, that's something I will say.
Tactix, have you watched or played any of Halo?
Not at all.
Okay, so you and I are in the same boat on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did plan for a week that you weren't here to bring this up. That was actually purposeful because I knew you would have a lot to contribute.
I don't because this is from Xbox, right?
Yeah. It's
so
like it was like the Xbox game that really like
yeah. So I didn't really play a whole lot of Xbox, so I never really got a chance to play this game. But as I'm looking at some of the visuals here on the screen, I was wondering. So, do you guys think? So, this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but do you ever think that they're ever gonna do like a Metroid Prime game? Have you guys ever played Metroid Prime with Samus? And do you think it would do as well as this Halo? Well, I don't know how well the Halo show is doing based off of Darcy's criticism, but
also let's not forget Maybot.
Yeah, she didn't even make it past the third episode. So
yo, she's like, I hate this. Okay, not liking this. Can't watch past episode 3. Hate the young girl. She needs to die.
damn.
Yeah, those are legit feelings, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. That girl needs to die. It's just like they she wasn't in the recent episode, and we can keep her that way. Like, that storyline just disappeared, but it's not going to.
So to go back to your topic, Tactix. I don't think we've reached the level where we can actually like. It kind of reminds me a little bit of anime adaptations into live action. What if gameplay is only ever good as in the game? Now, look, people have said, why don't you just take the like the manga for what it is and just put it on screen, or like take the anime, just put it on live action screen? They've done that, and it's like, this is weird as fuck.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well.
It does not translate well. And we people were saying when there was talk of doing like a live action Lion King, just take the cartoon, put it on screen. They did that, and we're just like, oh,
yeah, no,
yeah. Maybe it's potentially because like I've also heard for gameplay, it's like you guys literally have the visuals and also the story. So just take that and put that on screen. And I'm wondering, is that possible? Because the people who are playing the game are literally emotionally invested because they are playing the game.
They're immersed in it. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So like having us just sit like, okay, I'll admit I'm not a gamer. So I am somewhat interested in checking out Halo just for the sake of saying, I have no connection to the story. I have no connection to this, like to the emotions one has from being involved in the game. What will I think of it from like a purely story wise, and will I like it or not? So part of me is kind of interested in checking that out, but at the same time, there is so many people being like, "This is bullshit." And I'm like,
I was waiting for Darcy's thoughts on it because I know he's a big Xbox guy. So I was like, until I hear something something from him, I'm gonna pass on it for now.
But the thing for me is like, I don't know the Halo lore very well, and I was watching somebody saying that like if you are hardcore in the Halo lore, then this isn't for you. But for the people who don't know, it's like you might like it. And overall, like there's some stuff. Again, everything with that girl, and then the side quest. They had like some side quests into like some other planet. Like I don't give a crap about none of that.
Who is this girl? Like, what did she do?
Basically, her father was a leader of a resistance, and her whole like everyone was killed right in front of her, and Master Chief saves her, and she's like the only survivor, and she's the whole reason he takes his helmet off to like gain her trust, and then he starts questioning things because of her, and that was cool. That was good setup. That was good setup for his storyline. After that, I don't need anything about her. Like she should have just been killed, and then that should have like given him another thing to question or something, right? But no. Anyways, but I don't know. Like, there's just something about the building of their lore and the characters that I'm actually really starting to like about the show. And it's one of the shows that, like, okay, let's say you take Assassin's Creed. We did the Assassin's Creed movie, and I mean, maybe that actually probably could have been better, and that could have worked. But like, you take movies that are like very hard to adapt, and then somehow you can surprise. Sometimes adapt them like Sonic the Hedgehog, but sometimes like anime doesn't work. But this is literally a guy in an armor suit in the military fighting other alien planets who they depict as the enemy. However, there's like a whole like thing that their humanity is being lied to about, that some of these aliens aren't necessarily the enemy, even though they are trying to kill them. There's like a whole other like these beings that were early time and have some power and control, which is this giant ring called Halo, which is basically it's a race of these aliens trying to get to the Halo. And I don't understand fully what the Halo is, which is why I'm like kind of intrigued. And they started showing some stuff about the Halo in the last episode, so I'm like, oh, okay, where's this going? But like all that's very plausible. It just looks like Battlestar Galactica mixed with like some other stuff, and it all works. It's like it's fundamentally grounded. They just have to not screw up the writing. And that's it.
So I have a question.
Umar's here trying not to die.
It's just that you said Halo so many times, it made me think of the song.
Oh,
I was Halo.
Oh God.
So
Sorry,
okay,
Tactix.
so Darcy, considering that you have a gaming background, and then for you, Umar, you're very immersed in the movie culture. What is it about? What's the missing link? So in regards to, like, I think one of you guys mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog. That's actually doing really well, right?
Yeah.
So what is it about Sonic that you feel they got right that they can't seem to hone in on with any of these other video game to movie adaptations like Mortal Kombat and all the other ones that have come before it?
You said Mortal Kombat, and just that eyebrow just like went over to the side of his head.
To be honest, Darcy, do you have an answer? Because I'm still thinking.
So how do I put this? It's lore and it's not lore. So like, for instance, I think that you can change the lore. You can do your own adaptation. You could say, hey, it's another universe version, but it's very similar, all that stuff. But you have to know what is core to what people love about it. So Sonic the Hedgehog is a very like fun and goofy concept, right? And if you don't lean into it and don't look proper, like the first version of his eyes and the teeth, I was like, why does he have human teeth? It's you know that fish that has human teeth that's super creepy? That's what the first Sonic Hedgehog version looked like. And they're like, nah, that movie's gonna get canceled. The guy's like, oh yeah, I got fucked up. Let me go back. Let me fix that. And then
but props to him for correcting it though.
Yes, thank God for that.
Yeah,
for listening. The thing is, like, especially like you also got Jim Carrey too, which is a big piece for that. You had to understand what it was and lean into it. You can sometimes take something and like do like the Dark Knight and all that stuff and like completely reinvent the concept. But it would be hard for me to say like, what would Sonic the Hedgehog be like in a grounded universe? I'd be like, the fuck? Like, why did you want that concept? You know, like, and I just feel like they often, like, people want either like maybe they want an exact story and not everyone's gonna be happy with that. Like everyone has a book that they read about Dune and they expect it to be a certain way, but it doesn't come out that way, and that could be a problem. But you have to understand what this thing is beyond. And I feel like Halo's getting some of it and yet not getting it at the same time. That's what people are complaining about, and it's why it's like I'm conflicted because like they're getting some of it right for me, but I'm also a very very casual like fan of Halo, like super
Right.
casual. So like I'm disrespecting people at the same time. But it's like if you just look at it on the surface and go, "Oh yeah, it's a dude who shoots aliens," and then just go write a story, you fundamentally miss what people love about the character and the badassery of the character and whatnot. And you know, otherwise, like if I think of Assassin's Creed, it's like, yeah, he's a guy who's an assassin who jumps off buildings and kills people with like knives and swords. But that's not like you have to get the feeling of what that game gave you and be able to make that bigger and grander and maybe even make a new storyline that with the games are very very big and it's too much to say, so maybe you make a new storyline that takes pieces, but you really have to get the essence of what it is, and otherwise it'll just feel disconnected and it'll be shit. So I don't know, it's just like you really got to understand the thing that makes it cool and then really lean into that.
I would say that, like, from my perspective, I, in a way, agree with what Darcy is saying because it's kind of like what we were discussing before. Like, adaptations of comic books have only recently, like since 2008, 2005, really have been like slowly but progressively been getting better. That's why Morbius was such a jarring experience because it's like, oh, you know, everything we learned over the last like 10 years, yeah, let's forget about it and go back to what we were when we first started out. It's like, I would say the differences with video games is that since they are a visual and also an adrenaline connected experience, it is far too easy for studios to just go with flash instead of substance because like, I mean, like Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario Brothers, like what is really the heart or essence of that you're like, oh, what do I connect with? It's like obviously the studios are gonna be like, yo, just find some Italian people, give them a wrench, and have them like hit boxes.
It sounds the most racist conversation.
But exactly that is how studios was like. That's their go-to. That's their go-to.
He's not wrong, man.
Yeah, I know. And then the Italian person's like speaking like, no, you're not saying it right. It's like,
yes.
He's like, that's not how we talk.
Exactly. And so like that's why I think there's a problem because studios are like, this is a game. It's meant to be flashy. Stop trying to put a story in there. But like, granted, like a Super Mario Brothers, like there was no story for us to love.
That is a hard, like, I'm trying to think of like a properly done, like actually feels like Super Mario's adaptation. And it's like, what is the story about? Capturing a woman that is captive by a dinosaur. Like this is
make that make sense. Make
right?
that make sense.
Multiple times, might I add. Like
yeah. You have an Italian dude and his wingman riding a mini dinosaur and meeting people like a fucking like mushroom on the way to getting a just quote unquote what's the thing when you say women they're just like
damsel in distress?
Yeah, damsel in distress against another dinosaur who spits flames out of his mouth and has spikes on a shell on his back. Even though he's a dinosaur, he's in a shell. It's like it's just dumb.
But like, okay, Link.
Yeah.
That's probably a better example of like people are not going to get that right because they're going to be looking at, we need Legolas to get out there and start killing people. And it's like,
yeah, you got to build a good story, and you got to know what is core to those characters that people love about them, and bring it. So I mean,
But also like character development in gameplay. I'm speaking purely on like the 3 videos of gameplay that I watched.
the 3 videos of gameplay that you've watched, not video games that you play. I think he was gonna say the 3 video games I play. No, the 3
No.
videos of games.
I am prefacing this very specifically so like you guys can easily discredit my point. But from my observation, people tend to forget character development because they're the character. They're infusing in the character all the like because they're the ones making the choices. They're the ones doing the battles. They're the ones like coming up with strategies. So naturally, they would put themselves in the character. So you don't need to like develop the character. You just need to watch as everything else is developed.
Yes and no. It depends on the game, right? Like,
Exactly.
like if you're
absolutely
like the Mortal Kombat series. I mean, the latter games have built stories, but the original ones, like there's no real. I mean, there's a story, but it's simplistic, and you are the one immersed in it. But there's a lot of games that spend time building stories in their campaigns, and you know, some are elaborate, like all the Justice League stuff, and some are singular in that they are like. Some of the Call of Duty games have some of the best stories where you're a person going through the military, doing all these things, only to find out that your closest mate betrays you at the end as you fight through all these like crazy experiences. So like sometimes it's super integral to what makes the game what it is.
So like to answer your question, ultimately tactics, like I would say the trick is trying to find a way as Darcy is saying, honor the essence and then work from there.
It's kind of the same thing as superheroes.
Could you make Super Mario make sense? Honoring the essence?
Yo, I
don't want to.
Or Donkey Kong?
Yeah, like there's some things that just don't adapt. Like you just don't try it unless you're gonna make like Lego, like the Lego movie, and you're gonna make it like a completely like children thing. But like a live action Mario Brothers that's like, I honestly feel like we already got a good one.
That's as good as we're gonna get.
Like I feel like it's just gonna be like dumb. Yeah, are we getting another one?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I think it's an animated version.
Probably because that's the only way you could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, I didn't think the Lego movie was gonna work. Like when I first heard about it, I was like,
no.
Wait, what? But they pulled it off.
Like, the only reason I went is because my best friend was like, well, one of my best friends, I should say, because you know, you guys are right there, and you guys can take me. You never take me. Anyway.
Wow. I guess we have no more topics today. Jeez. Yeah, here. But, put you. Wrong thing. I meant to put you by yourself. Tactix, help me out, brother. I can't use these controls. Guess we know what the next topic is.
I actually forgot my point, so like, we might as well. What happened to Tactix?
Yo, you did that one on purpose. I know you did that. I didn't remove you, bro.
I removed myself after that comment.
I feel like that time when you're in the school and you're like trying to do your presentation and you accidentally move to the next slide. You're like, oh no, the big reveal.
All right, well, I forgot what I was saying. So moving on to our final topic of the night. And obviously we know what it's going to be about. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So this show is going to be released, I think like next end of next month. And the bit of news that I want to discuss is actually something that weirdly enough has surprised me, or I should say actually impressed me. So I was told, I read earlier last week, I want to say, that Hayden Christensen is really excited and getting all like prepared to replay Darth Vader. In my mind, when I hear this, I'm like, okay, whatever, because you know, I watched the prequels and he was shitting them, so I'm like, I really could care less about his Darth Vader stuff, and I like, you know what, I'm just going to pretend it's not going to happen. But then I read something that actually impressed me. And we were Tactix and Darcy both brought up the fact that for big franchises, people like Vin Diesel, their egos get in the way. And to be honest, that for me is the norm. I just expect that to happen. Instead, I hear a very nice thing that Hayden Christensen is properly preparing for the role by rewatching the prequel series, the Clone Wars, and then started watching the entirety of the Star Wars Clone Wars series and Star Wars Rebels. So he is not only just like, he's not saying, "Hey, I played this before. I'll just like do it like I did last time." He's doing homework, like character developing homework, and I'm just like, okay. I see you, Hayden. I respect that. So let me ask you guys, as Tactix, I know you're big into Star Wars. It's your number one favorite thing of all time, and you know everything about everything, and want to just I could see you can't wait to talk to me about it. So Darcy, let's start with you, man.
That was such a good misdirect. I like it.
Yeah, no, but seriously, Tactix, what do you think given this news?
So you compared him to Vin Diesel, and
So harsh.
So
harsh.
No, okay, but the thing is, the point I'm getting at is that Vin Diesel has been, I guess you could, if you want to use the word relevant, for quite a while now, because he's been in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's done a couple of movies and whatnot. Meanwhile, Hayden hasn't really done much. We haven't seen him really as a public eye, right? So it's kind of like, for him to have an ego after the fact, like, it's not a good look, considering that he pretty much everyone was hating on Hayden for the whole for the prequels and all the movies he did after that, right? So
I feel like if this like restarts everything and people love him as Darth Vader in this, like Tactix just named his like documentary series. It's just like, yeah, bitches.
But it's facts though, man. So it's like, I mean, if I was in his position, I would definitely be doing my homework and trying to make amends for the shit that I was ridiculed for, right? So, I mean, it's definitely a smart move.
Yep.
Darcy?
I think one, it's easy homework. Two, because like it's a great couple of shows, and he gets to see his character progress, and the exact expectation of what his character should go into. It's not just like, yes, you can watch the original movies, right, and you can understand like who that Darth Vader is, but it's a character in between, right? And so you get this like, you just get to see everything that blossomed about his character, because that character was still done in his image. It was still visually depicted similar to his like likeness, and it was smoothing out things. And I want to give Hayden the benefit of the doubt to assume that, because there was also a lot of stuff with like George Lucas just like pushing things in certain directions and messing things up. He did some things great with those prequels, but he did some things dumb with those prequels too. And I don't want to put all of it on Hayden, that like, you know,
That's fair.
And
That's
also
fair.
I also think that there's probably some editing that went into that too. Like maybe there's stuff that was filmed and then not included and not put in the right order, and therefore, you know, can set things up poorly. Ever since I saw that video of the re-edit of the Passengers film,
that changed your life, man.
No, because like I didn't realize how, when people say, "Oh, editing is such an important part." I'm like, how? And then I saw that film and I was like, when the guy cut scenes and showed it in a different order, I was like, I literally thought Chris Pratt was a creepy ass person, and I completely opposite what I felt about him just by editing together like 2 minutes in a different order. Like it totally made me feel different about his character, and it made me realize like maybe he was acting for that edit. He was acting with the anticipation that he was like being a creepy person, but then he's like put music on it, made him look funny. Right, because he's kind of always in the middle, like, you know, in terms of being, he always shows up. Anyways, I'm too much on that. What I'm getting at is I think like Hayden may, you know, have been limited in what he was able to do, plus new in his career, and so I give him the benefit of doubt. So he's doing this homework. He's watching what the expectation of his character is. He can practice in that nuance and bring those elements. And if he does a good job, like maybe he'll have a moment. He'll say a word. He'll reference something, and we'll go, man, that's all the way back to like season 3, man. Like, damn, like, oh, like just the way he could say Padawan, we're like, oh, damn, man, you watch this show. Oh man, bro, I appreciate it, bro. So I'm looking forward to it, and that makes me, to be honest, like Kenobi, cool. I'll watch it, but I haven't really been overly excited to any degree. I'd just be like, cool, when it comes on, I'll watch it. Now hearing this, I'm actually like, I want to see it just to see what Hayden does. The fact that he's even in it makes me intrigued because, like you said, that hating on Hayden, like the fact that he would even show up is like, no, I want to watch just because you're willing to show up.
Yeah, and I am checking like since the news came out, and also through this conversation, I am checking my bias because like what Tactix was saying is it's been 20 years. My man, like unlike Natalie Portman, who was barely able to save her career with V for Vendetta, like Hayden didn't get that. And like I would say Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor survived their Star Wars experience. Liam Neeson jumped ship early before it caught to him, but he was already an established actor by that point.
Jump ship, killed.
He literally asked to be killed.
Okay, I didn't know he got asked to be killed. Like,
no, he was like, no, you killing me at the end of this.
It's actually one of the best scenes in the whole prequel. Like the whole fight and everything leading up to his death. That was actually like, I watched a video on recently that was like talking about how good that scene was. But anyways.
Yeah, so like I'm and 20 years is a long time. For all we know, he probably went back to like acting school and like, I don't know. But like I can't forgive. I'm sorry, no, I can't forget what happened in the prequels because that shit's there. But taking to your point, Darcy, he didn't write it, he didn't direct it,
he did it.
He didn't edit it.
But by the way, when you said Natalie Portman had V for Vendetta, I'm like, nah, man. Hayden had his film C for canceled. Couldn't help myself. So bad, but I had to say it.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something I never thought I would say. I'm going to give Hayden Christensen the benefit of the doubt, like a brand new actor who, in my mind, is doing the homework and is like, you know what, I'm not taking this lightly. I know what I know the responsibility is placed on my shoulders, but also we know that we got better directors and writers and editors. So like
Umar.
Hopefully okay, Maybot. You did watch the prequels, right? But
it's been 20 years, Umar. Let it go.
I can be bitter, but like I will say that watching the Clone Wars, I actually found depth to Anakin's character.
Yeah,
because for me, all I had was what I thought it would be, and then seeing it done through Hayden Christensen's portrayal and George Lucas's writing. Not the best combination at the time, but now watching Dave Filoni and like Star Wars Rebels and also Star Wars Clone Wars, and just for perspective, we were at Tactix's place and we were having a conversation about Star Wars, and like we were trying to get Tactix to watch the Clone Wars, and I told him what I found interesting about Anakin's character is the fact that he is someone who went to the dark side because he didn't want people to die. That was his problem. He cared too much about people. He would connect with people. Well, that's how I interpreted it anyway. And so like the clone troopers and Padme and like R2-D2 and Ahsoka, and seeing how the Jedi were like, aside from being like decadent, they were also perfectly willing to let things go to shit in his mind. And so he was like, no, I have to fix this. And what made him go to the dark side is the feeling that I need to do whatever it takes to fix this. And in that mind, it meant killing everyone, like, or so in his mind, killing the few to make sure that the whole is prosperous. So
Yeah, the needs
that
of the many
didn't
outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah, like that wasn't in the prequels. And watching it in Clone Wars, it actually made me sad. I'm like, this guy literally thinks he's doing the right thing. And everyone is celebrating him because he's trying to save people. And you're just like, that's interesting. And so like, yeah, anyway, so that's how I kind of hope that Hayden Christensen and the people for like they're going to be showing the guy who fell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a point, but I forgot it. You hit on a good point, and I'm just like lost in it now.
Yo, T, what do you think of what I just said?
I have no thoughts.
You weren't listening, were you?
No, I was. I have no thoughts. I mean, like I'm not as excited for this as you guys are, because you guys are like serious avid Star Wars and Star Trek fans, and I'm kind of just like I'll check it out when I have time, kind of, like I'm not rushing it,
Why do you hate space?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no answers for you. But I do like what you said about I remember the conversation that you were talking about in regards to Anakin crossing over as a way of protecting people going over to the dark side, right? So if that is an actual thing, then I find that to be pretty cool, because growing up, from like the old school Star Wars movies, I always knew Darth Vader as like this evil guy until the very end of that trilogy where, he turns on the Emperor and, him and Luke have that little moment or whatever. Like that.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my knowledge in regards to that. But if there's like layers to that character where he's like, he consciously made a decision to go over to the dark side for another motive, like a more noble motive, then I think that's pretty cool. And I remember I can't remember what movie it was, and I think it was a deleted scene where it was like at the end of one of the films, and like I don't know what they're called, but like they're like when a Jedi dies or whatever, they have their spirit comes back
to the Force.
Yeah, and so it was three of them. So it was Obi-Wan, Yoda, and then Anakin was there as well.
Oh, the Force Ghosts.
The Force Ghosts, yeah. And so I just found that interesting. But I mean, I had initially attributed it to the fact that he had a change of heart at the last second right before he died. But if what you're saying, or how you kind of interpreted Anakin's decision to go over to the dark side is actually true, then I guess it would make more sense that he would be part of that celebration. So I don't know. I find that pretty interesting in terms of like how layered the character is. But other than that, yeah, no thoughts.
One thing I've learned, well, not in depth, but like lightly, is that Force Ghost thing is less of like how people interpret it. Normally I think people interpret it as like, oh, it's kind of like the angel and he was on the good side. It actually has more to do with their ability to understand the Force and how they actually were able to transfer their being into a Force Ghost. And not everyone's actually trained to do that. So that's why like also Luke is able to do it. So it's just because they were so powerful with the Force that they were able to transcend themselves into that state. And it's more of a will that they do it, not that it is you are accepted into the good side, so therefore you get to come back as a Force Ghost, because most of the Jedi aren't Force Ghosts, right? There's only 4. and there's a lot more Jedi than that. So it has way more to do with their connection and how powerful they are, which makes it like it's a different thing. like all together. And yeah, there's a lot of like the Star Wars has some amazing lore. Just like watching videos on it, it's very intriguing. But
And that's kind of like why I'm a little. I'm getting fed up with the keeping focus on the Skywalker clan. We
yeah,
can move on now. Let's show the old Republic. Let's have the Sith Jedi War. Like let's just do something else. Like I'm done. Like I like the Mandalorian, keep that going on, but let's see like the war between the Mandalorians and the Jedi. Like we can let go of the Skywalker people.
yeah, no, definitely agree with that. It's definitely time to move on. And Umar, talking about moving on with your healing with Hayden Christensen, your 12-step program. When we get to that 12th step where you forgive Zack Snyder, I think that'll be a day.
It took me 20 years to consider that with Hayden Christensen. Let's give me 10 years of hate with Zack Snyder.
Absolutely. And if we got to roll up in our geriatric, like wheelchairs and stuff like that and be like, have you forgiven him yet? And that's the day I'll still be glad.
It's going to be called the Seniors Bros Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Umar, would you rather do a marathon of Michael Bay movies or Zack Snyder movies?
Ooh.
I like this would we rather stuff.
What the fuck was that?
No, never mind.
It's like he made a decision and then he said, "Screw that decision."
No,
he remembered it's still Ramadan.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to.
You have to answer. You're taking too much time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I'll answer next week.
Nah, gun to your head, bro.
Gun to my head, I will have to say Michael Bay.
Ooh, damn! You hate Zack Snyder that much, eh?
It's a very difficult question.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that answer, but all right.
I'm not as offended by Michael Bay as I am with Zack Snyder.
Interesting. Tactix, what's your answer?
Gun to my head, probably Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Darcy, I know what your answer was. Come on, that wasn't even a question.
No, it's actually an interesting debate because there's things in both of them that I like and things in both of them I dislike.
Yeah.
In their camp. I kind of. Son of a bitch. Like for me, like Tactix. Let me put you where the debate gets real. Okay, this is where the debate gets real. Bad Boys 1 and 2, and 300. It's like which one you giving up? That's where it gets hard. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of feel like I'm gonna have to go with Michael Bay just on Bad Boys 1 and 2, and everything else is just like a cheese fest. Like that. Everything else is like there's crap in both of them. Like we know there's crap in both of them, and then there's just like Transformer stuff. Yeah, cool, whatever. Like popcorn, put it on, pass out, wake up, oh, it's still running. But and we could like other films in Zack Snyder's catalog is like that too. But like, yo.
So if we're rating this on like rewatchability, I think maybe. Based off of your example, Darcy, I think Michael Bay wins by like this much. Because I could rewatch Bad Boys 2 all day. Bad Boys 1, same thing. Yeah. Ambulance was fun, but storyline wasn't really there, so I don't really foresee myself watching that again anytime soon. The Transformers movies, the first one was
I agree.
It was refreshing because it was like something that like we hadn't really seen before in considering that it was the first of its kind. But they kind of just fell off after
they got dumb.
Yeah, so
yeah,
and like 300 is like that's a good comparison, but that like 300 is like I find that I can't watch that movie all the way through after having watched it for the first time. Like I'll watch bits and pieces of it, but like to sit there and watch the entire storyline, I don't know, just something about it. Just I couldn't sit through maybe I don't even know how long it is. Is it like close to 3 hours or?
Oh, I think it's a 2-hour movie.
I think it's
2 hour
2 hours,
movie?
but also there's Watchmen,
Watchmen, that's a hard one for me. That is gonna be slow and
Sucker
grueling.
Punch.
Sucker Punch
was trash to me, man.
I
didn't even watch it.
I didn't like Sucker Punch.
I enjoyed it, but I also can't say that like I remember anything of it. And
Wait, what was that Dave Bautista one he did? Like the zombie one? Was that him?
I enjoyed that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's recent. Yeah, I enjoyed that. They also did a follow-up where they did a side story from one character and nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
Maybot.
Yeah, this is Maybot's journey here. First off, starting with I think I do Snack Snyder too. Oh damn, Bad Boys. Yeah, I'm convinced Michael Bay all day.
You forgot about that one, yo.
Because like legitimately, it's Bad Boys is those first two. Like forget Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah.
That thing is nothing. But like because it also wasn't Michael Bay. Like that's a big deal. And the thing is like Michael Bay has some dumb movies, but he's also got some fun movies. They're like, if you're talking like super marathon, we gonna have moments where we're not paying attention for sure. Oh, cool scene. Oh yeah, let's have that conversation again. But like even the 6 degrees or something he did with
6 Underground or something like that.
6 Underground he did with Ryan Reynolds recently, where they're all these like that was a fun movie. You know, it's not like let's watch it a lot unless you put it in the background, but it's still a fun movie.
It was a background watch for me for sure.
This is going to be a very odd thing for me to say, but like from a feminist perspective, you have a lot of aspects of Michael Bay films that you can discuss and also point out.
Yeah, and workmen's rights, and like, and I'm not supporting that Michael Bay is a good dude. That's not what I'm saying.
No, 100. Like that's what I'm saying. Like with Zack Snyder,
if we're literally going on quality of the person, Zack Snyder's gonna win. Like
agreed.
He might
I will
screw
agree
things
with
up,
that.
but he like legitimately cares about what he does, even if you don't agree with his viewpoint on how to tell a story.
I can respect Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
I just do not agree with him.
That's fair.
And he offends me. But like, it's not his fault.
Take it a little too far. But
no, I didn't say I want to have him killed. I'm just saying he offends me
Whoa,
with his choices.
That's not even where my mind went, guys.
I'm just trying to tell you where my line is.
So it's below killing him.
That went so left, bro.
I'm just saying I can respect his opinion. I just don't agree with it. And I don't want any harm done to him. And I would especially want all harm to his family to stop happening. But like, he does offend me. His art is offensive to me.
Wow. It's just too much, man. Just too much. Oh, damn. All right, we gotta do another one of these like would you rather things. I like it. That's fun.
Okay. Well, we're at the end of our agenda, so I'll toss it back to you. Actually, I don't know who to toss it back to.
I was waiting to see what you're gonna say. I'm like, Tactix.
Y'all can pass it back to Darcy. It's his show today.
Wow. Okay. First off, that is a lot of green, bro. Second of all right, well, this is another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. Today it was just Darcy and
the Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all. Please like and subscribe, and also leave a comment if you can, just like Maybot, who's killing it today.
Absolutely.
Really?
It's tradition.